This is the cheap American man's guide to death cleaning. I guess that term has become popular lately, and I even checked Margareta Magnuson's book out of the library and read a few pages. But then I saw a picture of her in what appeared to be a very disorganized home, not at all what I want mine to look like, and I said, I can figure this out myself. I had reduced my possessions at one point a few decades ago to what would fit in the back of a long bed pickup truck, so I'm somewhat familiar with the process. The big things were easy. What surprised me was how difficult the small things were. Papers, especially. Financial documents had to be reviewed page by page and shredded. Plus, there was the pain of failed projects. Books I started to write but never finished. The emotional toll was surprising to me. So this closet is not something I'm proud of. It started as an ordinary closet, a few extra clothes and supplies for the office and guest room it's attached to. But I added two items of emotional baggage that didn't fit into my new house. A maple dresser my parents got me when I was about 9 that I just loved. At the time, I liked the early American style. As an adult, I've shifted more towards modernism and minimalism. But sentimentality has led me to drag this dresser with me for more than 55 years. The second is my grandmother's table. It looks like a desk, but it folds out into a dining table for 8. My family used it for extra seatings for holiday dinners, and I used it as an entry table, but my new house doesn't have room in the entry. These two items are probably the perfect candidates for death cleaning. Items with emotional attachment for me that will be disposed of unemotionally after my death. It's time for me to find a good home for them now, and perhaps find some pleasure from others enjoying these items. The closet really fell apart with COVID. I started storing tissue and other supplies, and it's become the mess you see here. Added to this issue is that I'm cheap. I put on and lose weight and keep pants with waist sizes from 30 to 36. Here's a few pairs on the floor, just because they were easier to put here. I have many more stored in a room underneath my stairs. There's a lot of stuff that can be cleared out, like this stand for CDs. They've gone the way of the dodo bird. And this lamp was a gift, and perhaps being a bit sentimental, I haven't had the heart to give it away, but here it sits unused. So my first order of business is to cull the unnecessary items from this closet, and then to look at what I want to keep and how to arrange it in an organized and presentable way. So let's see how this cheap American man's efforts at death cleaning go. But why clear things out? Why do death cleaning? First, I can give the items, especially the sentimental items, the care they deserve. I don't think I'm unique in developing affection for things, especially things that have served me well. After I die, these things would likely go to the thrift store or even the dump. During my life, I can spend a little time placing them with people who may appreciate them. That makes me feel better about the process. It also saves my relatives the chore of processing my possessions. If you've had to complete this task, it's not an easy one, either practically or emotionally. Evaluating, reducing, and organizing are a way of showing respect to those who will survive you. And on a more practical basis, it removes clutter and creates a simpler and more minimalistic living space. There's an old saying, do you own the things you own, or do the things you own you? There's a liberation in clearing out unused baggage, sometimes literally baggage, from your past. Also, on a practical basis, I'm considering selling this house at some time in the future, and it certainly will be sold after my death. Having it clean and organized will help it to sell better. Further, going through these items allows you to process memories and issues from the past. You can secure the affectionate feelings for the items or the eras in your mind, and then release the burden of carting around the material things. The family dinners on my grandmother's table will stay with me for life. I don't need the actual table to feel those fond memories. So that's the start. It's not an instantaneous process. I've pulled my grandmother's table out, cleaned it, researched its value, which is somewhere between $50 and $1,500. I'm first going to offer to give it to family members, and if none want it, consign it or give it to someone who appreciates it. I've repaired a broken drawer slide in the dresser, and I'm considering either giving it to a young person or repurposing it for storage in my garage, which I hope to eventually death clean. With the emotional baggage being processed, I can now move on to the more unemotional task of processing the contents of the closet, then seeing what's left over and how I can organize it. One thing about excuses for not doing this job is just in case. Just in case I'm going to need this, I'm going to keep it. In the bottom of this dresser drawer, I've got some nice cotton slacks that were appropriate for casual Fridays and eventually for everyday office wear. I haven't worn them in more than 20 years. They go straight to the thrift store, and hopefully somebody else can wear them to the office. Just in case is the most common excuse, but it's an impediment to decluttering. Don't let it stop you from doing this job. So a day has passed and I'm back in the closet again. I gave myself some time to think about the emotional separation from these items of sentimental value, and it helped. One thought that turned my thoughts around was this: what would I pay for these items if I came across them at a garage sale? And the answer is not a cent. In fact, you would need to pay me to take them. And somehow that made a difference to me. The sentimental value belongs to me, but not to the objects. The objects have gone from being a benefit to being a burden, and I want them gone. So their departure is in the pipeline, with the worst case scenario of donation to a thrift store if none of the other strategies pan out. Now I'm ready to get to work on the rest. A little more than an hour in, this closet is down to bare bones. I've got quite a pile to go to the thrift store and quite a pile to go to the dump. There were a number of things in here that should never have been in here. Shampoo and conditioner from the bathroom, coffee from upstairs because the upstairs is not very well organized. And with those things out, I'm very interested to see how what I want to keep fits into the closet as it is currently configured. My initial plan was to strip all of this out and reshelf and reorganize the entire closet, but that may or may not be necessary at this point in time. It certainly could use a coat of paint, and I will do that at some time in the future, but I'm reserving that painting project until I see whether I'm going to reorganize the entire closet or leave it in its current format. Let's put some stuff in and see how it works. Well, excuse the red face. I've been exposed to quite a bit of dust. There were years of accumulation in here. I must say that I am amazed that some reorganization has reduced the mess in this closet to this. I have set aside some canceled checks and so forth that I do need to go through and shred, but essentially these are the essentials that belong in this closet. I'd initially intended to pull out all the shelves and redesign the closet so it accommodates all of the items I had in an orderly manner. And I may still do that, but only for fun, not out of necessity. Also, when this house is sold, the traditional design of the closet currently may be more saleable. I use this as an office, but the prior occupant in this house used this as a teen's room, and a traditional closet could probably work better for a family. Anyway, this is my first death cleaning project. I was going to assault my understairs storage next. That's where my old photos live. But the overflow of things from other storage areas in this closet highlights that several other areas of the house need attention first. In conclusion, on a personal basis, I feel much relieved to have processed some of the emotional baggage I had in storage and to create a simpler and more orderly environment. And as a cheap man, the total cost to me was $0, just a few hours of work. You know, you come into this world with nothing and you leave it with nothing, so you might as well start preparing for that now. And given the chance of donating an item to a person who might find joy in it versus leaving a burden on my family, I'll take the first option. For this cheap American man, this dip into death cleaning has been productive, but now I just have the rest of the house to go. Thanks for watching.